36 minutes on Thursday, Donald Trump sat and talked to the nation about the tragedy at Reagan National Airport, the mid-air collision that cost the lives of 67 people the previous evening. Well, for 5 minutes, he told us about the tragedy, and for the rest of the time, he blamed the Democrats, DEI, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama, not in that order. So let's talk about it and break it down. Number one, the DEI hirings had nothing to do with the crash. I am a private pilot, and I want to thank right now the good people in the air traffic control industry in the Washington corridor who saved my lives one afternoon as I was flying visual flight rules, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. I was flying visual flight rules through the corridor in Maryland, through D.C. to Virginia. I got a call from an ATC squawked me on my radio and told me I had incoming traffic at my 12 o'clock position. He saved my life by alerting me. This happens all the time. There is a lot of air traffic in the Washington, D.C. area, and the ATC that work there are among the best I've ever known. I sent the guy a bottle of bourbon to thank him for saving my life. That was many years ago. Now, here's the thing. If you can't do the job, there's no physical deformity, no mental deformity that's going to keep you in that job just because they want to hire you by the color of your skin. It is the best and the brightest who occupy those jobs, and they're high-stress jobs. So if it were some low-life person who didn't deserve to be there, we'd have more than one mid-air collision to be talking about. So it's not a DEI thing. Also, let's talk a little bit about what Donald Trump did say. But first, before that even, let's take a look at this videotape of the collision. So as you can see, and this is all supposition, again, I'm a pilot just looking at it the same as anyone else, Donald Trump said that it was vision. Well, those are visual flight rules. And so if you were flying under VFR, those are called visual flight rules, that night, you didn't have to have instrumentation or computers. But if you're flying an airplane, a passenger plane, and you're landing at Reagan, you have Dulles, right, to your southwest, and to your northeast, you've got Baltimore, BWI. You still use instrument flight rules to fly into and land your airplane. Or at least you use computers, you're talking to the ATC, you're regulated at what height, and you're regulated by when you can land. Donald Trump said that that airplane followed other airplanes in. That's correct. That's called wake abatement procedures. So you'll wait a certain amount of time and distance before the airplane in front of you lands, and you have wake abatement, right? Because when you land, it creates turbulence in the air. So you have to wait a certain amount of time to land the airplane so you don't disturb, so you actually have a solid airflow, and you can land. So those are all things that he was probably briefed on. He also said that the helicopter could have stopped. You can't stop a helicopter on a dime. You can't stop an airplane on the dime. A lot of what he talked about was just baloney. And by the way, since it was under visual flight rules, if that's the case, it was likely that the pilot involved made the mistake. 95% of these, if you look it up, 95% of the problems with air crashes boils down to pilot error. No nefarious activity. I've already heard all kinds of conspiracy theories because there were Russians on board. Just let the NTSB do its job. Mr. President, for the love of God, don't tell us about conspiracy theories or DEI hires or air traffic. You went out of your way to say that it was an air traffic controller after you implicated that it was a DEI hire as an air traffic controller that caused the problem. Stop it. Now, there were only 2 reporters who called Donald Trump out on his garbage. Let's start with Kaitlan Collins. She asked him, and you can listen, did you get ahead of your skis, and listen to his answer.
Do you even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families?
They are
to hear you
a
blaming
group of
DEI
people that have
policies?
lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. but I think that's not a very smart question.
But are you
I'm
blaming-
surprised coming from you.
Are you blaming air traffic?
Yeah, you have gotten ahead of your skis. That's my question. You don't know what caused this crash, Mr. President, any more than I do. And disparaging reporters, as is your wont, does not do anyone a service. You spoke at the beginning about how we are brought together by a national tragedy, and you divided us as soon as you got on stage, 5 minutes in. Now, let's take a look at Peter Alexander, who called into question the policies that Donald Trump said were the fault of Obama and Biden. Just listen to this exchange.
I want to ask you about the ice skaters in a moment because the U.S. Ice Skating Committee was affected. But first, if I can, the cited FAA text that you read is real. But the implication that this policy is new or that it stems from efforts that began under President Biden or the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is demonstrably false. It's been on the FAA's
Who said
website.
That, you?
No, it's on the website, the FAA's website. It was there in 2013. It was there for the entirety.
What I read.
It was there for the entirety of your administration
Nice and
too.
easy.
So my question is, why didn't you change the policy during your first
I
administration?
did change it. I changed the Obama policy, and we had a very good policy. And then Biden came in, and he changed it. And then when I came in 3 days ago, I signed a new order bringing it to the highest level of intelligence. Okay.
It was on the website.
So at the end of the day, at least those two reporters knew what they were talking about. This is very nuanced stuff. The nuance involved in talking about aircraft crashes, pilots. Donald Trump at one point said they were both at the same altitude. Well, if one was assigned the altitude to enter the airspace and another was assigned a different altitude, and that's just speculation at this point. I haven't seen the FAA reports or the NTSB, but if you had one of them at an incorrect altitude, of course, that would heighten the possibility of a crash. Take a look at the video that you've seen. You will understand it was the helicopter running into the airplane, apparently. So that's where you would start. All of you who want to talk about nefarious reasons for this crash, please give it a rest. And the bottom line is, do not politicize this event, Mr. President. Honor the dead, if at all possible. Thank you. I'm Brian Karam. This is Reverse Shot. It's been a shortened edition, but we had to get this out today, so thank you very much, and we will catch you next time.